Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another episode of Here's the Truth with AP. I'm your host, AP, and here's the truth. The truth is, the Democratic Party has become too arrogant for their own good. The Democrats got their butts kicked because they pushed their narrative too far. And when you stretch a rubber band too far, it snaps. And Tuesday, it not only snapped, it exploded. And I'm going to explain to you tonight what happened, why it happened, and what they need to do. I told you all Trump would win. I've been saying it for 2 months. How did I know? First thing you have to understand is the polls were lying to you, like the media has been doing all along. Polls were lying because if they kept things close, the Harris campaign would continue to get money. The Harris campaign spent $1.2 billion and they've paid for $1 billion. The mainstream media, who we all know, if you've read my podcast and you can look and watch and see what's going on, you know the Democrats has the mainstream media by the balls. And so the mainstream media does whatever they can to try to push the left into position. So what did they do? They skewed the polls. This is the 4th or 5th, 6th time in a row the polls were wrong. But I figured it out. I saw a trend. And if you just paid attention, you too would have seen Trump had this. I have 9 reasons why the Harris campaign lost. And I have some reasons why Trump won. The number one reason why Harris lost, of course, everybody knows, the economy. Eggs, too much. Bread, too much. Milk, too much. Orange juice, too much. The basics were too much for the average people. They felt it. They lived it. They didn't care what they were saying about Bidenomics. They lived it. Gas prices. We told everybody. So number one, the economy. Number two, the candidates they ran. Joe Biden, great guy, popular in his party, popular with independents, but he started losing it. We all saw it. We saw the cognitive decline. The Republicans were saying, you can see it. He's losing it. And the Democrats continued to come out and lie to all of us. The press secretary was telling us he runs circles around us. Kamala kept it hidden. Everybody mum's the word. We knew it. We were being lied to. And you Democrats, you should be pissed off about that. But you won't be. You won't be. Because you just follow along with the narrative. What should we do now? They lied to you. And then when they saw he was too gone to run, and breaking news, when Biden's intel saw that he was going to lose 400 electoral votes, they said enough is enough. We have got to do something different. Go back and look at my podcast. I predicted they'd make a change in August. I was a month early. They made a change in September because they knew this guy was not going to push them over the mountain, the hump. And so they rolled Kamala out, threw her under the bus. Who else would they run? Josh Shapiro, Wes Moore, and risk a loss to Donald Trump. And Shapiro and Wes Moore and any other candidates' hopes would be futile or shot because they tried a last-ditch effort. No, they threw Kamala out there to take the L. And if you don't realize that, just look who they gave her as a VP. They could have given her Shapiro. They could have given her Wes Moore as a vice president. They're superstars waiting in the wings. Nope. They gave her Tim Walz. So that's the second reason. Third reason's the border. They didn't listen. People were saying the border is killing us. Eric Adams even spoke against the Democratic Party, which I envision his career is probably over, and he's probably going to switch to the Republican Party after that. The border was killing people, and we saw it. Fentanyl, killing people literally. But they kept it open. Did not follow the laws of the Naturalization Act that was signed into law in 1996. and the few addendums that were added later, they didn't follow it. They didn't care. Get people in here, get more Democrats in here so we can win elections, because all they care about is power. They don't care about you. And the disgrace of the fact that when Helene hit and Milton hit, and they had no money to help these people because FEMA were giving money to illegal immigrants coming into this country. There was no money for Americans. People saw that. And though this story wasn't known before the election, we just found out that FEMA was making sure that workers were not helping houses that had Trump signs or seemed to be Trump supporters. That epitomizes this party for the last 12 years. Attack conservatives, censor conservatives. They're garbage. We're deplorable. All of that set this up. Number 4, the wokeness. Middle America, the majority of Americans, do not want the wokeness. They don't want men, boys going into female bathrooms. They don't want men playing in women's sports. Don't want to be forced to use pronouns that aren't part of the formal English language, coming from a 30-year English teacher and a person with a English major. They forced it on us, and we didn't want it. Number 5, jobs. This last quarter, right before the election, terrible timing for the Democrats. Only 12,000 jobs were created. Number 6, government spending. We saw the infrastructure bill. We saw the inflation bill. They were green bills. They were climate change bills. Why are we funding high-speed rails between cities before we fix the railways that we have? The ones that create train derailments 100, 200 times a year. And then we had the train derailment in Ohio. Buttigieg never showed up, never checked on him. Biden never went. It took him a year to go there. You know, the thing is, I think the Democrats have gotten left behind. I think the Republicans have pulled forward because the Democrats think they can continue to make the American people believe something that's not true. What they seem to not understand is we've got all of the information at our fingertips now. We're able to look and we're able to figure out, we're able to research now. And they still think we're stupid because of the hubris, because of the arrogance of the party since the Obama administration. The number 7 reason why Kamala lost. Her administration as a vice president saw war for the first time in years. Trump didn't have war. In fact, Trump was the first president since Woodrow Wilson not to engage in war with a foreign entity or continue aggression against a foreign entity. Number 8, the Democratic Party did not listen to the American people. We were telling you, we don't want open borders. We want to be able to buy groceries. We want to pay for gas. And they saw the fact that you thought you could pull over on us, the lawfare, going after this man in the courts. You thought you could pull over on us. He's a Nazi. He's a fascist. He's a dictator. You thought you could pull that over on us because you didn't know that the American people are smarter than you think we are. Number 9, the lawfare. Georgia, New York, Mar-a-Lago. This man's home was raided. His wife's underwear drawer was searched because he had some government documents. And so did Joe Biden. Nothing happened to him. They brought him in and he couldn't remember anything, so he couldn't go to court. Hillary Clinton, BleachBit, destroying phones, deleting emails. Nothing happened to her. People saw that, and people were upset about that because that's not the America that most of these people were raised in. You overplayed your hands, Democrats. So why did Trump win? Under Trump's presidency for 4 years, the border was secure, but y'all didn't see that. You were so hell-bent on attacking this man and getting rid of him through the courts, through the press, calling him a fascist and a dictator and a Nazi and a racist and a xenophobe because of the arrogance, because of the hubris that your party has created since Obama. We were energy independent under Trump. Our oil reserves were at an all-time high because he bought oil low. He's a businessman. You're overestimating the intelligence of the American people. And so let's get to the campaign. I mean, how can you run a good campaign when you know your candidate is losing his mind? God bless him. When you see him falling around, unable to remember the names of world leaders, how can you run a campaign when you know he's going to lose and when you know your intel's telling you he's losing 400 electoral votes at this point? Well, you got to come up with somebody. Is Josh Shapiro going to win? Is Wes Moore going to win? No. So what are you going to do? You're going to throw Kamala out there and hope for the best. And she's a wreck. She was the first one to bow out of the primaries for the Democrats when she ran for president. She's a word salad mess. And so you did your best, but Trump had a plan. And even though he said, I've got concepts of a plan for that one question that you all ran over and over and over again, you know he had a plan. The man had a plan the first time he ran. And it's evident he had a plan by the manner in which he is picking his cabinet. And though you may not agree with Matt Gaetz and the other ones that he's picked, guess what? You don't have a choice because you lost. If I were you, take a step back, stop with the attacks, figure out why you lost. I've seen about 5% Democrats who have responded as to why they lost be correct. You lost because you lost the narrative. You lost because you weren't speaking to the American people. You lost because you weren't listening to us. That's why you lost. You lost because you went after your political opponent, which is what fascist countries do. And I don't care if you disagree with me. The RICO case, the New York sexual assault civil case, the loan case, and the Mar-a-Lago case, all of those are not going anywhere, which never should have in the first place. But those things, this is America. You cannot go after your political opponents through the justice system, through the courts. Compare what happened to the Democrats this time to a Shakespearean tragedy. In a Shakespearean tragedy, you have your hero, you have your protagonist. And the protagonist starts the play having an obscene amount of pride, which the Greeks called hubris. You have so much pride that you're blinded from rational thought. And so the hero, Macbeth, Hamlet, King Lear, Othello, Julius Caesar, Brutus, they commit a blunder, a miscalculation, which leads to the downfall of many characters in the play. Hubris, the blind pride of the main character, the hero, it's going to cause a chain reaction of a lot of bad things. The hubris that you all created under Obama, and I can pinpoint when it happened. When Obama said Midwestern workers in this country take their bitterness about what's going on in the country and they cling to their Bibles and their guns, and they look at people that aren't like them and they pour their emotions on those people. That was the first time that I, in my life, saw a Democrat condemn a large amount of people, because he was saying to you all, he did it really smartly because it's Obama. He's smooth. From that point on, the Democratic Party continued to expound on that idea. And if you've watched my podcast, you know that Hillary Clinton is a student of Saul Alinsky, and you know that Obama followed in the footsteps of Saul Alinsky, and Saul Alinsky's 12th rule for radicals is that you target your opponent, you personalize it, you polarize it, and you polarize his or her supporters. And that's what they did. But they overestimated the intelligence and the wisdom of the American people. And it cost them big. The aftermath has you guys trying to figure out what the hell happened. We've got people saying it was sexism, misogyny, racist? No, you still don't get it. I've seen maybe 3 Democrats over the past couple days nail it, saying we have to change our narrative. And then you've got people going crazy in this country right now, wanting to leave the country, wanting to not have sex with their boyfriends for 4 years, cut off their hair, divorce their spouses. Guys, the stuff the mainstream media fed you all, it's not going to happen. The majority of it is not going to. I'm sorry, but you were fed lies. And I'm sorry you believed it. I'm sorry. And the interesting thing is that so many people believed it when you have every piece of information that was ever published in world history at your fingertips. Here's my advice. The Democratic Party, y'all need to get your shit together. Change your narrative. Thanks for hanging in with me, and I'll see you next week.